Today we will discuss the concept, significance, models and perspectives of human rights education. Human rights are an integral part of human life. They are as old as human civilization. However, the degradation of ethical, moral, economic, social and cultural values among humankind and the holocaust of the two world wars led the nation states to recognize human rights as a part of international law. The words human rights took birth in the year 1945 through the Charter of the United Nations. The preamble of the Charter clearly recognized the human rights, appeals the humanity and the states to strive to achieve them at any cost. In order to achieve the objectives of human rights, the United Nations adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. The aim of the United Nations was to expand them and to give them the required legal status. Accordingly, in the year 1966, the United Nations, expanding the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted two important covenants, namely the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. In spite of the efforts of the United Nations, the events of the decolonization and other international political events at the international level led the aspect of human rights not to gain much strength as required. Further, the ignorance of promotion of human rights led to widen the gap between the rich and the poor, both in the international and national levels. Apart from this, the turn of events such as terrorism, hunger, racism, torture, human trafficking, infighting among individuals, corruption, discriminatory practices against women, children, weaker sections, language and religious infighting among various societies have had their impact in weakening the relations between humans and the nation states. These events led the World Conference on Human Rights held at Vienna in June 1993 to call on the states to implement human rights education to restore peace and security in the world. The conference stated that human rights education, training and public information were essential for the promotion and achievement of stable and harmonious relations among communities and for fostering mutual understanding, tolerance and peace. According to the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights education promotes values, beliefs and attitudes that encourage all individuals to uphold their own rights and those of others. It develops an understanding of everyone's common responsibility to make human rights a reality in each community. It further makes a seminal contribution in preventing abuses to establish a just society in which the human rights of everyone will be valued and respected. The United Nations General Assembly, in response to the World Conference of States in December 1994, through a resolution, declared the period 1995-2004 as the decade of human rights education. It drew up a plan of action with 5 main objectives for the effective dissemination of human rights education. Let us examine the 5 objectives of the plan. They are: 1. Formulation of strategies basing on the needs of each society. 2. Preparing and strengthening the human rights education programs. 3. Developing educational materials suitable for human rights. 4. Strengthening mass media in the dissemination of human rights education. 5. Global dissemination of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The plan of action encourages evolving suitable modules at the international, national, regional and local levels to impart human rights education. According to the United Nations Plan of Action, human rights education means training, dissemination and information about human rights and duties among various sections of the society. This mass-based dissemination will lead to evolve a human rights culture and to shape the attitude of humanity to bring in responsibility to discharge the duties that are casted on everyone with utmost respect. Develop respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms, full development of personality and dignity, promotion of understanding, tolerance, gender equality and friendship among all nations to protect the rights of economically, socially and culturally weaker sections, free participation of all people in the activities of the state, to help the United Nations to maintain peace and security in the world. Accordingly, human rights education includes teaching of human rights, humanitarian law, principles of democracy, rule of law, peace and social justice, and help to achieve of an all-round socio-economic, political and cultural sustainability. From these points, we can clearly understand that human rights education is not of rights, but of duties and the discharge of the duties to achieve peace and prosperity. Let us examine the dissemination of human rights to education, which will achieve the following further objectives: to promote respect for human rights, to develop the knowledge, skills and values of human rights, to develop human personality, to help people, policy makers to evolve effective and efficient policy, formulations to tackle problems of equality, to foster understanding, tolerance, gender equality, enhancing leadership qualities, personal empowerment, promotes friendship among all nations, bring in harmony among racial, national, ethical, religious and linguistic groups. The resolution urged the states to devise national plans to impart education among all sections of society in an effective manner. The United Nations drew a number of guidelines to be adopted by the states to impart human rights education at national, regional and local levels. Accordingly, the United Nations requested the member states to make all sections of society to be partners in the promotion of human rights education. Apart from a number of suggestions, it mainly emphasized its promotion through education from primary to university level in every country through the well established and recognized models. Now, let us examine the models of human rights education. There are a number of models developed to human rights education across the world. Among them, the values model is considered as the basic and most important model. Let us examine the values model. This model aims at imparting basic knowledge about human rights through student curricula. By this method of impartation, it aims to integrate human rights to develop a value-based society where in the rights of every section of society will be protected. The main objective of the model is to make the student as the public consumer to create awareness campaigns in the society. The knowledge imparted to the students will bring in human rights consciousness, which enables the students for the following: the ability of students to recognize the human rights dimensions of and their relationship to a given conflict or problem oriented exercise, an expression of awareness and concern about their role in the protection or promotion of these rights, a critical evaluation of the potential responses that may be offered, an attempt to identify or create new responses, a judgment or decision about which choice is most appropriate, and an expression of confidence and a recognition of responsibility and influence in both the decisions and its impact. Now, let us examine the second model, accountability model. In this model, human rights education will focus to bring in awareness in the professionals, the activists of the society, lawyers, judges, police and other law enforcing agencies, social and health workers are targeted to learn the significance of human rights. This will enable to monitor and to evolve the protection mechanism for the prevention of violation of rights of people in the society. The third model is the transformation model. This model helps and gears up the individuals to be robust citizens to tackle all kinds of problems and to evolve solutions for their prevention. Basing on the data and information of the Human Rights Council, the General Assembly, through another resolution adopted in November 2011, stated that human rights education is a lifelong process and need to be imparted across all ages. It again reiterated that the best way for its impartation is modules from preschool to university level in all types of formal, non-formal and occasional courses both in public and in private institutions in all languages that need to be understandable in an easy manner. The Government of India, being a member of the United Nations and a party to various international documents on human rights, adopted a number of steps to impart human rights education. Among the various aspects, the new education policy of the Government of India, evolved in 1986, drew plans to impart scientific, technological, moral and ethical values among the various sections of the country through education. In this regard, the University Grants Commission around the same time prepared a blueprint for imparting education on human rights and duties in universities and colleges with the following objectives: to develop interaction between society and educational institutions about human rights, to sensitize the citizens for the development of norms and values of human rights and duties, to encourage research activities related to human rights, to encourage research studies concerning the relationship between human rights and duties and other areas of international law. Apart from these points, the plan further emphasized the promotion of human rights education in universities and colleges, not only to improve the quality of life, but also to disseminate the values and morals through human rights and duties education through different patterns. The Government of India, to protect and promote human rights and to prevent the abuses of rights of Indian citizens, passed the Human Rights Act in the year 1993. The Act, apart from the protection mechanism, highlighted the significance for the promotion of human rights education and research at all levels. In this regard, the Act empowered the responsibility to the national and state human rights commissions to take necessary steps for the promotion of human rights and duties education at all levels. According to the objectives of Human Rights Act, the Maharashtra State Human Rights Commission in the year 2010 gave a call to impart human rights and duties education among the various sections of the society in the state through education institutions from elementary to university level. The aim of the commission is to make the state of Maharashtra to be the first in the country in propagating the ideals of human rights and duties education at various levels, to offer compulsory courses to all the students of each institute without any exception. In response to the clarion call of the State Human Rights Commission, the Government of Maharashtra is the first state requested the education institutions in the state to draw plans for the dissemination of human rights education. Responding to the call, the University of Pune is the first in the state and as well in the country to introduce the program compulsorily at the university level first and to extend to its colleges in a gradual manner. In this impartation program, the university has chosen the value-based model to impart the human rights education to values, various norms of human rights, the problems of the vulnerable groups and the legal means to achieve and implement them. These aspects are drawn into 3 papers. These papers aim to bring the required knowledge among the students of the University of Pune as to develop the culture of human rights. Pune being the most dominant revolutionary city in the country, which laid the seeds of dissent for the British rule, the university hopes that this cultural city of Maharashtra to be the first to promote human rights culture and to develop future leaders of the country with a cutting edge to tackle the problems of the state and the country. In conclusion, let me give a clarion call to all the students of the University of Pune to enjoy the proud moment of learning the culture of human rights education and duties perspective to inculcate these things into the future generations of the country for the progressive all-round development of society without any discrimination to sex, race, language as per the objectives of the Charter of the United Nations and the principles of international law in prospering and promoting peace and security.